Alrighty, Minot Sports fans, and welcome back to another episode of the Minot Sports Podcast. I am your host, Cole Clementich, a junior and a professional communication major at Minot State University. I want to thank you guys for tuning in to another episode. So this is just kind of a brief warm-up of what we're about to get into, but I was very fortunate enough to have been contacted, at least got a request to interview this offensive lineman on the Minot State Football team. If you've heard of him, Jonny Velazquez. He's got a great story to tell us and a lot of unique specifics about him. So looking forward to showcasing that to you guys. But again, it was all per a request. I mean, regardless whether it's a request or not, I will gladly conduct any interview with a local athlete. If you guys want to be on the show, don't be afraid. Contact me via social media. Contact me via email. I might start putting those on the description, the YouTube description now, so we'll see. But yeah, pretty much social media is the easiest form of contacting, I would say, for myself and maybe for you guys as well. But again, this was on a request, and I bring to you guys offensive lineman on the Minot State Football team, Jonny Velazquez. Before we get started with him, again, just want to remind you guys, KMSU TV Radio, our studio sponsor. Again, we thank them for allowing us to record using their equipment each and every chance we get behind the mic. Also want to give a big thanks to Peyton Bartsch Photography. He is the photography sponsor for Minot High and other sorts of athletics that he goes out and shoots games for or gets action shots from games. So he provides a majority of action shots for the high school level of athletics, most notably Minot High. He is a senior there on the football team as the kicker and also a member of the Minot High Magicians swim and dive team. So thank him for all that he has contributed to the podcast. With that being said, folks, here is Jonny Velazquez. Hello and good day to you, Minot sports fans. Once again, it is a beautiful Monday here in the Magic City. October 18th is the time we are recording this. Welcome back to another episode of the Minot Sports Podcast, Season 3, Episode 2, and kind of jumping in a little bit onto the MSU athletes script or bandwagon, if you say so. We'll still kind of determining what that will be, whether this will be Season 2 or a part of the MSU Athlete Series, but that'll be for later. But for now, Minot sports fans, as always, we want to give a big shout out to our studio sponsor, KMSU TV Radio. We thank them each and every day for allowing us to record in the studios and allowing us to just get involved around campus, whether it's the campus TV show or even talking on live radio. But we thank them as always. And a big thanks also to our photography sponsor, Peyton Bartsch Photography, and also a shout out to Sean Arbo for providing us some of the nicest action shots that they have to offer. But with that being said, Minot sports fans, we got a guest on the program for you guys today. He is a member of the MSU football team, Jonny Velazquez. And Jonathan, thank you for being on the show today. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. And just kind of a quick startup. What brought you here to Minot? I know obviously athletes talk about scholarships. They talk about campus influence. You know, they go on a visit. Sometimes coaches may bring them in. But what brings you here to Minot? How'd you get here?
I'd say the biggest thing that brought me to Minot was 100% how the team was just so family-oriented. In high school, that was something I had, and that was a big thing to our success in high school. And obviously, I wanted to go somewhere that made me feel welcome. And I went on a lot of other visits, and they didn't really the atmosphere just wasn't the same. And when I came up here, I met a lot of the guys. I met Seabass, Sebastian Gutierrez. He's the starting left tackle that we have right now, and he's one of my better friends. I'd say, awesome, honestly, yeah. He's probably one of the people that brought me here for sure. So I'd say the family aspect of just the Minot State football team.
That's always good because anytime you can connect with one of the athletes right away, you know, it's like you said, that family aspect, that family deal, you know, always it feels like you're at home. And, you know, for a guy like him, you say left tackle. Is that your position? Are you tackle on the offensive line? Okay. I kind of thought it was one of the two between tackle or defensive line, but we got that figured out now. But just talk about that a little bit. You know, what was that experience like getting to be recruited here at Minot State?
It was definitely very interesting. Before Minot had reached out, I hadn't had many offers or many people looking at me. And Coach Nissen was the person that reached out to me at first, and he was our old offensive line coach. He sadly parted ways with us, and we now have a new offensive line coach, Coach Friend. But he set the standard for how family was, and he would call every Wednesday, and he would just keep continuously showing effort and just showing that he wanted me here, and that the team wanted me here, and that the people wanted me here. So that was definitely something.
Absolutely. And going off of that, what you were just saying about the coaches, like you said, Nick Nissen, obviously, I believe he's off in Bemidji State, if I'm not mistaken. So there's been quite a bit of turnover with the coaching staff as of late. But you mentioned Danny Friend. For a guy of his stature, coming from a Division I school, and even during his playing days, really, what's it like working with a guy like him?
He is he's interesting. He's very, very smart. Football wise, he has taught me so many things in his short time of being here. I am excited. I've always been excited to work with him, because I know coming from a D1 university, you get that kind of coaching and that kind of different style of gameplay, and he's taught us a lot of things. As an offensive line, we've grown a lot since Coach Friend has been here with us. So I'd say it's been very, very fun, and I'm very excited to see how far he can take us as an offensive line, as a unit.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And it's been very noticeably so, especially on the field. I mean, despite that the quarterbacks have kind of maybe held on to the football a little too long, you guys are looking solid as a unit out there, at least from what I can see, for sure. And going into, so this is a brand new season. Well, we're still pretty fairly far deep into this new football season in the NSIC. And after that, or before that, having had no season, COVID kind of took everything out. What did you really take up during that time? What did you do just to kind of stay focused, to stay prepared? Obviously, there wasn't a season, but anything can happen, really. How'd you do in that time frame?
So up here in Minot, we got really lucky with the whole COVID thing. They weren't really mandating masks. There wasn't a whole bunch of testing. There wasn't a whole bunch of things that were limiting us, as some other states were getting limited. So we had a lot of practices, a lot of team gathered practices that a lot of other teams didn't get to have. So I saw that as an opportunity just to grow as a person, grow as an athlete. I knew coming into college that obviously everyone in high school was their best player on their team, and then you go to college and, well, you're surrounded by the best players on everyone's high school team. So you definitely have to up your game as well. And the speed of the game between high school and college, that kind of shocked me at first a little bit. And so I had to get adapted to that, and just adapted to the physicality of the game, and just all the new things I had to learn. So that was something that I took advantage of in that COVID year that I had.
Yeah, sometimes it's not an easy transition going from high school to college. The game, everything is so magnified now, kind of more under a microscope a little bit. And the coaches, there's a lot more, probably bigger staffs in college than as opposed to high school. Tell us a little bit about your background. Which high school? Obviously, you played offensive line. Did you play any other positions in high school? Where did you come from? What were kind of some things that you did in high school just to kind of get yourself noticed?
Okay. I'm originally from Buckeye, Arizona. I went to a high school called Odyssey Institute. I played right tackle there, and I also played nose guard, well, basically everywhere on the defensive line, and then I was on punt. I was on everything except for kickoff return, so I really never got off the field. So that was very fun for me, and I started my freshman year, all 4 years, through varsity, because I was just the biggest kid on the team. I went to a very small school. And so going into that, I never had played tackle football before, and my freshman year was my first year ever playing tackle football.
Wow.
And the coaches just saw something in me. They just thought I had the size and the potential, and just, I guess, athleticism, just to go and play all these different positions and never really get off the field. I saw it more as a challenge. I saw it as, I want to win. I'm a very, very strong competitor. I like to win. When I lose, it physically and emotionally hurts me. It draws a lot of things away from me. But I'd say in high school, I just brain farted.
No, yeah, take your time. Yeah, this is all good stuff, honestly. And yeah, like you said, high school having to play two positions, but that's fascinating to me. The freshman year deal, everything's different for a lot of guys, and I think it's the same thing. Even for some that losing, it's tough, mentally draining, but for you, not having like played any full-time football up till that point in freshman year, what kind of really were you doing? What was how did you really bulk up in status or before that freshman year, or I guess heading into that freshman year, I should say?
I played a lot of flag football in middle school and that kind of stuff. I love basketball. I played basketball all 4 years of high school.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
So basketball is definitely another hobby that I had. I grew up in playing basketball and football, and those are the kind of things. And just going into my freshman year, tackle football was the only other football I could play for the high school. So I was like, okay, let's take it up a step. And I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the physicality. I enjoyed how tough you had to make yourself look, or at least be in general, just to play the sport of football. And I just love going out there and just hitting people. I think that's the best part of football.
Absolutely. Yeah. I used to play back in middle school, and honestly, the biggest thing for me was those practices. They were tough on you, but it's understood. Yeah, football is not an easy sport to play, and most certainly just the mental capacity, the physical capacity, some people are just drawn into it, and sometimes it may not be for everyone, but for others, like yourself, and for all the guys that you compete with on a day-by-day basis, or in this case, every Saturday, it can be embracing for a lot of people. But you said going into football, what were some other, maybe some, and like you also mentioned basketball too. Were there some other fun activities that you like to do that maybe were a nice resume builder? Maybe not so much completing a resume, but a startup resume builder heading into college. What were some other cool things that you liked in high school?
So going into that, my major, I'm a computer science major. So another hobby I had was coding, or just doing like kind of projects and that kind of stuff with.
And we have that here on campus too.
Yep. Doing those kind of projects with just computers. I've always fallen in love with computers. I actually build my own computers. I love video games. That's another hobby I have. Just those kind of things, just having like little extra things that when your body's hurting and you can't really do anything physically, mentally, I can still keep myself going and doing my academics and doing things that I enjoy. So I'd say, yeah, computers and stuff, I relate
to you so much so right there, because, especially having to go through those gen eds, it's like, oh man, we got to get through this. But I'm a firm believer that, I know it's a cliche, but it's so common that once we find something that we enjoy doing, we have a much easier time figuring out problems or finding solutions to plan A, plan B, for going from one step to another. So yeah, I wholly agree with you on that. And computer science, talk about time in the classroom. What's campus life like for Jonathan right now?
I spend a fair amount of time on my computer. Between coding and then football practice and then just going to all my other classes that I have, I'd say coding takes definitely the longest, because you have to run your code, and then you have to debug your code, and then you have to finalize your code, and then you have to submit your code, and then you got to make sure it runs even after you submit it, because sometimes Blackboard likes to play some games on there. But just overall, I'd say time management has been something that I definitely had to find, because last year, obviously, we had that COVID year, so I had a lot of downtime. Practices were in the morning. I had a lot of time to myself, get academics done. Nowadays, I have maybe on good days 4 hours of free time before I have to sleep and then do it all over again. And Mondays are really nice because we actually don't have practice on Mondays, so I can get a lot of homework and a lot of academics done on Mondays. So that's definitely.
I bet it's a real grind, isn't it?
It's been interesting. Yep.
And if you guys don't know what Blackboard is, it's essentially the Minot State campus. I guess it's kind of a whole university thing around the state, but Blackboard, it's for some of you incoming freshmen, probably kind of starting to know what it is. Sophomores, juniors, and seniors, they already got the gist of it. But it's pretty much like essentially your home, your hub for all your classrooms, all your assignments. It's a nice setup there. But yeah, Johnny, there's a lot of, like you said, with computer science, a lot of coding. Just kind of tell us, what are some maybe some other fun stuff? Is what all do you do with coding? Is there like you said with some games? Is there certain things that you just take up during some any spare time maybe? What do you all do with it with coding? I'm curious about this.
So with coding, you can do just about anything. Every program that you run on a computer, there's a bunch of code in the back of it that you just never see, and it's just the computer's running it, and what you see in front of you is the output of all that code and all that hard work that honestly somebody took hours and hours and even days, sometimes months, to put together just for simple things to run, honestly. And I'd say the best thing about coding is just the creativity that you can go to putting into it, because there's so many different ways to do the same thing. And there's like shortcuts to do it, but there's also really long ways to do it. And if you do it the really long way, well, if you change one thing, then everything has to change, because you don't have everything shorthanded, and it's not simple enough for the computer to just run it once and go through it. It has to go through each check and then eventually find the answer and then spew out the output. But yeah, coding is it's a difficult thing to maybe grasp at first, but once you start putting things together and just adding to it over and over and over, it starts to become just second nature, and you kind of just understand where the things go.
I definitely believe it is a time-consuming thing, but you said video games. What else do you make with it? And you also said building computers. What also do you make with coding?
Okay. I make mostly I don't do a lot of freelance coding, just on my own. I'll do the assignments that we have and that kind of stuff. But I did want to go a little bit more into making games, because that definitely interests me.
That does sound cool, yeah.
I've always wanted to understand how games work. A game that I play a lot is Rocket League, and I've always wanted to understand how that game works, because just seeing all of the things and all the outputs and all just the things that move and have to go together for the game to run and be so competitive and stuff is it fascinates me. It really, really does. The graphics behind it, everything is just really, really fascinating to me. So I would like to understand how that works. But I don't know. Maybe one day I'll get there.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like you definitely have a passion for it. You have already have some experience with it. You know, obviously, us pro-com majors, we're already getting experience. You know, especially for you early. How far are you into your schooling so far?
I'm in my second year, so I'd be a sophomore in the classroom.
Sophomore in the classroom, but because of COVID last year, you'd still be a freshman on the football field, essentially. So, but starting off early, getting experience, especially now just starting your second year, how important or how crucial do you view that for a lot of people? You know, just getting started or getting going early in anything. What do you feel? What do you think of that?
Something that my coach always says is being prepared creates success. It automatically creates confidence. Mm-hmm. And the earlier you start something, the more prepared you are for that thing. And in the end, it'll make you more successful and more confident in what you are doing and what you are pursuing in your life. So I'd definitely say the faster you start something, the more prepared you'll be, the better it'll end up for you.
Yeah, essentially, you know, preparation is just a huge key for anyone in any industry. And going away from, actually, we'll continue on with some more classroom stuff. We'll get to the football field in a little bit here, but excuse me. So preparing, going back in the classroom. What are some other things that maybe college you maybe weren't as ready for, that you kind of had to, you know, get your mindset? What are some other things that in the classroom that you do on a daily basis? Any other gen ed courses or just kind of the basic same old? What do you think?
I'd say studying was something that I had to learn in college for sure. Just the amount of information that you have to retain is just insane in some of the gen eds. I know I'm taking psychology right now, and just the terms and the terminology and the way things work, I have to understand all of that stuff. And it's definitely very time consuming. And that's that's probably the biggest thing, was just studying. Because in high school, honestly, I mean, there wasn't a whole bunch of information I had to retain or that kind of stuff. We just got the homework, and then, the quizzes and the tests were all on the homework. And in college, it's a lot of the things that aren't on the homework and aren't always put out there for you that end up on the exams or end up on that test. And then you just have to, you had to study for it just to know it was there. And I think that's definitely something that takes a decent amount of my day going forward through academics and sports and all that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm right there with you too. Especially, I still have one more gen ed course to go, but hopefully it all goes well, especially for you. But moving away, but kind of still sticking on campus here. What have you liked about? I guess we can take this further. What have you liked about not only just Minot State campus, but Minot, North Dakota in itself? When you first arrived here, what is your overall, overview of Minot and campus?
So when it came to choosing a college, obviously the college isn't one of the only things that you look for. You look for the city and just where you are in general. Coming up to Minot, North Dakota, obviously I'm a long ways from home. The weather is very, very different, and that's something that I very much enjoy. I don't know if I was born for the cold and I just ended up in the wrong state, or I'm not sure. But I'm used to 120-degree summers, and here you got 80-degree summers, and it sometimes even gets even cooler than that somehow. And then the winters are just, they're cold. They're nice.
They're brutal.
Yeah.
Trust me, man. They are super brutal, and I'm sure you've probably experienced a little bit of that by now, but yeah, Minot is certainly it does have its own beauties and just a lot of unique things. What have you liked on campus so far? Obviously, we got MSU Life. Erin Hughes, she does a great job with that. She actually guest speaks in a few of our classrooms. But Erin Hughes, she does a great job with that. Have you been to some MSU Life events? And how cool is it to kind of get involved on that level?
So talking about MSU Life, one of our football players, Emmett Espino, is also one of the heads of the MSU Life. So he does a lot of the activities and that kind of stuff planning-wise. So he'll always be in the locker room yelling at us to all go to those kind of things. So I've made my way to a few of those things. And it was definitely they're very fun. They are very, very fun. There's a lot of people there, a lot of people that you know, a lot of people that I know, just a lot of people in general. And it feels like just a big party. You're just big hangout, just kind of talking around. They'll be throwing jokes, and you're just getting free stuff. Honestly, it's a win-win in any situation.
Oh yeah.
And I would 100% say if you haven't gone to any of those, I would go to those because they are very, very fun. You can make a lot of new friends. It's an amazing experience for sure.
And I will second that, what Johnny is saying. Certainly, if you are a Minot State student on campus, definitely go hit up one of those events. They're a lot of fun. I actually ended up getting a bucket hat from homecoming week. It was the 500 Ways to Win, so that was a pretty good deal there. But Johnny, just talking about just the camaraderie with the guys, with the boys on the football team. What's that like? What's it like to be, like you said, the family aspect earlier? How much of a fun time are you guys having, as a group together, whether it's team bonding or on the practice field during game time? What's it like overall?
I'd say the best thing is that there's times that I see my teammates as brothers, and then there's times I see my teammates as teammates. And you have to know the fine line when you're on the field about when they're your teammate or when they're your brother. So obviously people are going to mess up on the football field. There's going to be mistakes. Not everything is going to be perfect, but the goal is to strive for perfection.
Oh, yeah.
And, when people are messing up a whole bunch or just, not having a great day, sometimes you need to get them in check and you need to realize they're your teammate. I think the best part about Minot is that we don't go far from that line. We stay right there, and when we're off the field, we're back to being brothers. Whatever happened on the field happened, and as long as we learned from it and we became better as a football player that day, that's all that matters. And I'd say that's the biggest thing with the team is that we can get on each other and then come back into the locker room and say, hey, you had a good practice. And that's probably the best thing of the football team. We just go out there and we just butt heads all day for 2 hours straight, and then we come back in the locker room and it's like, how was your day? How was school? How was class? How's the wife? How's anything, Just those kind of things.
Yeah, as simple as that. And I guess, like you're saying, everything should be, whether it should be applauded or should be, talked about once in a while. Like you said, mistakes are going to happen on the field, but at the end of the day, you're all just striving for the same goal. And I think, that's really awesome to see you guys together as a group, as a whole team, just coming off of a tough loss to Northern State on Saturday, 36-35. But just ignoring the loss for a second, you guys, since that first game that was 49-0 against Augustana till now, you guys have made such huge strides in the right direction. And although the season isn't going the way you guys maybe had hoped for, talk about the progress, the progression that you guys are making as a group, especially playing on the football field.
So Coach A always likes to say we're building the dam. And honestly, that's just the truth right there. We're slowly putting parts together to eventually one day get that win. And this Saturday, we're also going against a team that hasn't won a game yet. So it's kind of either they're going to win their first game or we're going to win our first game. But I know that we are very, very hungry from that last one. It was so close. It slipped away 1 point. They came back in the fourth quarter. They came and they overtook the lead. And we would have had a game-winning field goal, and it got blocked, sadly.
That's tough.
But those kind of things happen, and you just have to reflect on it and then forget about it and just keep working harder and harder. I'd say the biggest thing that we've been focusing on all these games is we don't really worry about who we're playing, because at the end of the day, we're always going to play a team they have a better record than us, right? So when we watch the film, when we watch that kind of stuff, we're just watching them and we're seeing what they do, their tendencies, but we're really focusing on ourselves. We're focusing on bettering ourselves every day, bettering our technique, bettering our finishes, bettering just everything that we can do as a team execution-wise. And I'd say that's probably the biggest thing that has helped us this season in general is even though we haven't won a game yet, we are continuously getting better and better and better. And eventually, it's going to tip and we're just going to keep getting better and better and better.
And I think also, too, with the injuries, some of the key injuries that you guys have suffered, having to adjust with Dawson McCleary. I'll mention this real quick. We actually had Coach Aldrich on the Saturday Showdown. That's on KMSU TV, by the way, if you guys want to check that out. Big thank you to, again, our studio sponsor, KMSU TV Radio. But, we had Coach Aldrich on the Saturday Showdown a couple times now. And, just simply put, you guys can control what you can control. And, having to adjust going from Ben Belinsky, but him getting hurt, to Dawson McCleary game planning, there's a lot of adversity I believe that's going on, and certainly you guys have been pretty much up to the task, since that point, just getting better week by week. What's the daily challenges of going through that, having to find ways to maneuver around it. Just kind of touch on that a little bit more.
I'd say it all starts with practice. Every single day of practice, even though we have a good day of practice, our coaches always tell us it could be better. There's little things that we can focus on, and it's really the little things that matter, especially when you think about that 1 point loss. It's all the little things that happened before that could have helped us not lose by 1 point. So it's just focusing on those little things and correcting the little things and focusing on our strengths mainly. Running the ball, we've found a lot of success with that, but also when you run the ball a whole bunch, you also open up the passing game, which Dawson is just amazing at. I mean, he can throw the ball like no other, honestly, in this conference. And I'm excited to see the way that the team responds to how we just lost this last game. I'm sure everyone's going to be fired up, and we're all going to want to practice very, very hard this week. So I really hope that we all focus on the little things that we messed up in that game, and we just get better.
Yeah, like you said, I mean, the 1 point loss to Northern State. Yeah, like you said, you guys are hungry, and you guys are so close there. I wish we could have Coach Aldrich on the Saturday Showdown this upcoming Saturday, but because it's an 11 o'clock start, that'd just be kind of way too early, way too much of a mess there to kind of get that all together. But, I would be excited if he were to come on our show. I would be excited to ask him some of these questions that I'm asking you right now. Getting so close, that 1 point loss, tough break, tough few breaks against Northern State. But just kind of talking about the game plan, and like you said, starting off with practice, going into every game each week. Upper Iowa, like you said, is winless. Just kind of what are some things you guys are maybe focused on, or is it just any simple little things focused on, or is it just all, just keep grinding, keep building the dam in this instance?
Well, obviously, we get ourselves in situations that we were unfamiliar with. In Northern, it was one of the first times we've been up in a football game. And I think a couple of the guys didn't really fully understand what to do in that kind of situation. Some people were saying maybe we should just try to run the clock out. Some people were saying we should keep trying to fight and keep scoring. It's just those kind of things. Those are like learning moments for everyone, especially when you go against a team like Northern and you go up there and you show them what you got. Obviously, they're a good football team. They were a good program, so they were never going to give up on us. And I would say that it was the fight that we had that kept us in that game and kept us going. But it's the fight that we're going to have this next week against Upper Iowa to continue to keep us moving forward every single week, week by week.
Especially when you factor in last year was a lost season and you have so many guys, with very little college or not even college football experience. So that game management, that's just another challenge at hand. How do you manage the game? How do you come away with the win? Or how does it turn out in the end eventually, but be the end all be all? But yeah, Jonny, that's some great stuff. Just kind of overall keys to Upper Iowa this Saturday. What do you think?
I would say we would definitely have to run the ball very, very well. I think if we get the run game going, the passing game will open up and we'll just start tossing the ball on them. And there's nothing that they could really do or any other team could really do when we start passing the ball. I know last week the opposing team, Northern, the defense never really stopped us. We threw an interception, we fumbled, and then we had the kick blocked. So those were the 3 turnovers that we had. None of them which were caused by the defense. They were mainly caused by us not catching the ball or not holding the ball tight enough or those kind of things. So I'm excited to see what we go up and do against Upper Iowa when it comes to just ball security and just scoring touchdowns and just going down on them.
Yeah, the little things like that can be huge. Well, Jonny, that's a great insight going into this upcoming game at the Herb Parker Stadium. Kickoff at 11 a.m. on Saturday. But let's just kind of talk a little bit of playing experience. So do you have like a favorite stadium that you've been to? It can be either high school or college or both. Have you had a favorite place to play at? Is there anywhere that you just went to? It's like, oh man, this is gorgeous. What are your thoughts on that? What do you like as far as stadiums go?
Stadium-wise, I'd say location-wise, the best one was probably Bemidji so far. They're just right up on that Bemidji Lake, and it's just it's a really beautiful just scenery and just view of everything. Obviously, the Beavers, and we count them as our rivals, so I can't really enjoy playing there. But the other one would definitely be Herb. Herb Parker Stadium is definitely the place to be. I think just being on the top of the stadium and then just looking over Minot in general is just the most beautiful thing to do. Even when I'm going to meetings or something, I'll stop and admire the view just because it's so beautiful. It just looks amazing. And honestly, the atmosphere at Herb when the stands are crowded and everyone's in there cheering, it's unmatched. There's nowhere else that I think can do what we do here at Minot.
Yeah, there's something to be had about both football stadiums here in town, especially because at the Dwayne Carlson Stadium at Minot High, it's the same deal. You're looking at all of Minot, and especially during Friday night nights, seeing the sunset. I don't know if you've been to one of those games yet, but if you do catch one of those or just any game, any sort of game, it's a beautiful view. So yeah, they definitely had something going when they were building those 2 stadiums. But yeah, that's a nice insight there. Yeah, especially I've seen photos of Bemidji, right along the lake. Sometimes I worry. Well, I don't really worry, but I kind of think to myself, how do they keep a netting up there? Like when someone's kicking a football through the upright, like when the kicker's kicking an extra point or a field goal, do they keep a netting up there so that it doesn't end up in the water? Is there a long distance from that side of the end zone to the water? How long is it?
So here's a fun fact. I actually had that exact same question, and since I was there, I decided to figure it out. I ended up walking all the way almost down to like the lake just to see how far the field goal would have to go. And it's about like 100 yards from where the field goal is to where the lake would eventually be. But there is a hill that kind of leads down to thing. So I'm thinking maybe if someone kicks the ball solid 50 yards after it, maybe it'll get close to being down there.
Oh,
But
boy.
yeah.
Yeah, I kind of think about that too, because maybe you don't want to lose any of those footballs to the river, but or the lake in that case, in that matter. So, but yeah, sometimes maybe a netting does help. But I mean, what can you do? It is where they're set at. That's their geography, their location, and yeah, I think you're right on cue there. Bemidji State. I've seen photos. It looks nice. But yeah, continuing on, some more of your playing days here. Just the overall experience. What is some advice that you have for some younger players, whether they're still in high school, like your alumni at your school? Some advice that you have for those guys, or maybe even some incoming freshmen that want to get into college ball. Just what would you have to say for them?
I would say you have to treat every day like it could be your last day playing that sport. Because honestly, the way sports are, athletics are in general, you never really know when your last day is going to be. You could tear your ACL tomorrow, and that'll be the end of it for 9 months. So you just have to go and give your effort full on 100% every single day, and eventually it's going to pay off. And even if some days it doesn't feel like it might not, you just got to wake up the next day with the same mentality that's going to pay off, and, well, it will.
I got some fun questions here for you. As far as some of the players go, who's probably the funniest on the team? Or I guess in this case, who is the, not, I don't want to say the class clown, but kind of who's the clown of the team? Who's the trickster, the prankster? Who's the one that's the most funniest? Who would you say?
I would say the funniest player on the team would be Joma Norman. He's one of our receivers. He's not very tall, but he can definitely make the entire team laugh just with a couple words and just doing a couple things. He definitely brings a lot of energy to the team at practice. We have music going while we're practicing, and you'll just always see him dancing like crazy, doing his thing. And he's loud. I think it's probably one of the best parts of Joma. For being such a little guy, he can project his voice. And just watching him on the field play, even though he's undersized at his position, when bigger guys go and hit him, he gets right back up afterwards and laughs in their face, and then he'll walk away and he talks his talk, and it's very interesting to see. But he's definitely the class clown, or the jokester of the team for sure.
Joma, if you ever listen to this, there you go. Awesome. That's really cool there, Johnny. But we talked camaraderie with the guys. Talk about having it with the coaches. How much have you learned from, obviously, you're an offensive lineman. Obviously, you probably might not learn much from a Jacob Zier or a Francisco Llano, but you learn a lot from Danny Friend. Do you also learn some things? Do you guys kind of combine to formulate some of the plays in the playbook that you just kind of get together, like you should be blocking this guy in this case or in this play, or just, have a certain way of run or pass blocking? How much do you learn from not just Coach Friend, but some of the other coaches as well? And how much have you learned? How much has it been helpful for you to learn from those guys?
So when it comes to the offensive line, when it comes to run blocking or pass blocking, there's normally more than just the offensive line. You have the tight ends, you have the running backs, even sometimes the receivers are going to block. And we have screens and that kind of stuff where we all have to be on the same page, so we all have to understand what one another is doing. I'd say the people that I spend a decent amount of time with, other than Coach Friend, would be Coach Sweep and Coach DeYoung. They're tight end coach and then the running backs coach. They're both very interesting people, to say the least. They're both graduate assistants, so they're around some of our seniors' age, so they get along with our captains a lot, very well. But they also get along with me very well because I see them as also some of just, my teammates, brothers, more than a coach bond almost. And it's definitely interesting learning from them because they're obviously almost as the same age as me. And we just get along very, very easily. There's just a certain level of, understanding because they also played college football, so they understand, how the things work and how the offense should be run, and, offensive linemen are, the main blockers, but the running backs also sometimes come into block, so we have to make sure they know what they're doing. So we'll have a lot of conversations with our running backs and the tight ends normally are right next to us while we're blocking, so we always have to know what they're doing. And normally our calls are with them. Like, we'll give them a call, and they know that they're with us and that kind of stuff. So I'd say learning-wise from the other coaches, Coach Sweep has taught me a lot from, even though he's a running backs coach and it's a very different position, he's taught me a lot about stretching. I asked him about stretching my hips because as a lineman, you're always in a stance, you're always down low to the ground, and your hips kind of just get very tight. And he was a hurdler in college, so I asked him what he did to open his hips, and he gave me some stretches, some kind of stuff like that. For DeYoung, I asked him about blocking for the tight ends because obviously we block differently because our stances are different, and sometimes the tight ends are running routes. Like, they'll block and then they'll run a route, so they have to know their timing. And we have to be able to switch guys off like that. So I'll ask him questions about, like, when they're leaving or, like, how they're leaving, like, what kind of route they're taking or those kind of things. And so that's the biggest thing, is just making sure we're all on the same page.
That's good. Good stuff, man. That's a lot to take in there, certainly. But there's way more than players learning from their respective coach. You know, you always got, when you're devising up that game plan, you always got to keep all hands on deck. Make sure, everything's communicated the right way, and everything, is just ready, set to go, and just, go out there, perform it, execute, especially even in practice too. But that's some great stuff there, Jonny. Also, truth be told, I was actually a part of the video department last semester, but I could not continue it. Obviously, just a lot of time got away from me, but I did have a lot of fun doing that. I've been to a few of the meetings, had to record some of them when I was there with the video department at the time. And Coach, well, I guess this might not be for you, but I know Coach Shepard with the defense used to make it a really fun environment for them, just kind of play a little music, pump up music, keeping the guys in it, keeping the recruits happy. How much have you seen on that front? How much do coaches have an impact on the recruits, keeping them on base, keeping them, happy here while they're here? What have you seen so far?
So for the recruiting visits, they normally they'll assign a player to take some of the recruits home and take them out and show them places. So I've had a lot of firsthand experience with that. I've taken a lot of offensive lineman recruits that we've had out. Some of the guys are on the team now. So it's definitely interesting to see how the coaches, act around them. And it kind of gives me like a basis on how I should treat them or almost like act around them. Because obviously coming in as a recruit, you don't really know a whole bunch about the kid. You don't really know about, where he's from or what he likes, what he's into. So you kind of are just asking those kind of leading questions to see what they're about. And I'd say the coaches do a really good job of that. They do a really good job of relating with them. And obviously they call them every week and they make sure they get a report on them and see how they're doing. So it's honestly interesting to see how they do it. I know for the recruiting visits, they'll sit down and they'll have a meal with them, and that's normally when I'll see them talking to them. And normally the first question is always, how are your parents? That's always the first. They always try to relate it to the family because, in the end, the decision is going to come down to you and your parents and your family and whatever the best decision is for you. So definitely the parents. That's something that I see a lot of the coaches, they like to talk to the parents and get to know the parents. And a lot of the coaches here are actually really good friends with my parents. So it's definitely it goes way beyond football when it comes to recruiting for the coaches.
Yeah, you always want to have that connection with the family, certainly. And, that's a great point there. Again, really, just connecting with the family, like you said. And in the end, it's all going to be on you. What does the family think? It kind of helps them, give a better insight of what do you think is best for their kid. And, I think that's good. And, it helps them. Because if they're getting all these connections from other coaches, there might be a tough decision to come along the way, but they'll have that discussion point with their kids, and like you said, that's very spot on there. But well, Jonny, it is 5:00 now here on Monday the 18th of October. Just kind of wrapping up a slow wrap here a little bit. You like professional sports? Do you watch any professional sports at all?
Yes, I do. The NFL, obviously, a lot.
NFL, yep. Okay, yeah, figures. But, any favorite teams, favorite players? Who do you like to watch?
So, I'm a Patriots fan, and Tom Brady was my favorite player for a very long time.
We all know how that went.
Yeah.
Yep, in the free agency season. He's gone now, so...
Yeah, so obviously I had to switch who my favorite player was because I couldn't support someone who wasn't a part of the Patriots. So I obviously switched to Mac Jones now, and he's putting in work. He's a rookie quarterback, but he has a lot of potential to be a lot better.
Yep. Yeah, he's looking pretty solid so far. I mean, when you look at Trevor Lawrence in Jacksonville, Justin Fields in Chicago. Well, I guess Justin Fields is kind of doing somewhat okay-ish. But then you also look at who else? Zach Wilson with the Jets. Mac Jones is probably the best rookie quarterback out there. I mean, not to discount the other guys, but Mac Jones, he's probably got the best supporting cast. Would you agree?
Yeah, I would 100% agree. The Patriots returned a lot of players. I know we just lost Stefan Diggs, or not Stefan Diggs, our cornerback.
Stephon Gilmore, trade to the Panthers.
Yeah, that was a rough one. I'm not sure how the whole salary cap thing works there or with that kind of money-wise of the NFL, so I don't really understand the business side of it. But I know when we lose a star player like that, it's definitely going to hurt the team, and it's going to hurt the defense. But next man up mentality has always been the Patriots way. Just do your job, and that's all you can really ask for in a team.
Yeah, well, hey, I actually like that because even after Tom Brady left, I mean, after all those Super Bowls, you're still sticking with them, and there's definitely something to be had there. But Patriots fan likes Mac Jones. Also, any other professional sports that you like to watch? Basketball, hockey, baseball, golf, even. We just had Gavin Argent from Minot High recently. Is there any golf action you like? What else do you like?
Sports-wise, I'd probably say basketball would be another sport thing that I watch. I know the Lakers are doing interesting right now. They have a lot of star players on their team, but they haven't been producing the way people think they should. I know Stephen Curry's starting to get back into it a little bit. I've seen some videos of that.
Yep. He's looking pretty good to start in the preseason.
Yeah. Other than that, I don't really watch too much basketball or keep up with it. I just see the highlights on Instagram or just online, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I see him a lot too. But, Johnny, good stuff there. Anything else you'd like to mention? Is there where can people find you on social media maybe?
My Instagram is just Jonny Velazquez, JONNY VELAZ. And, that's about it.
That's about it. Alrighty, yeah. Anything else you'd like to mention on top or good of the order? Excuse me.
I'm just gonna say roll Beavs.
Roll Beavs. Awesome. Well, there you have it, Minot sports fans. You just heard Jonathan Velazquez, offensive lineman for the Minot State Football team. Again, lots of great stuff. Coding, especially. It seems like a lot of work, but it definitely he loves it. It's his passion. But good stuff, Jonathan. We thank you for being on the show today, also talking a little bit of professional sports, even with his team, the New England Patriots, and Mac Jones, also with on-campus stuff, and just a lot of great stuff overall, and especially keys to Minot State against Upper Iowa in football, also some other cool football stories as well. But Jonathan, we thank you for being on the Minot Sports Podcast today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, once again, Minot sports fans, you just heard Jonathan Velazquez. We are going to take a quick break, but before we do that, just want to give a big shout out again to KMSU TV Radio, our studio sponsors, for letting us use their mics, each and every time we get to record. And also a big thanks to Peyton Bartsch Photography, our other sponsor, our photography sponsor there. We'll be right back after this quick break.
Welcome to KMSU TV and Radio. You might be asking, what is KMSU? It is the brand name for the MSU Broadcasting Department, home to the many young and aspiring communication majors here at Minot State University. When joining KMSU, there will be many different opportunities to get involved. Students will get a hands-on learning experience in lots of future career fields, like the production of content, being a leader in public relations, operating social media, or even writing and journalism. KMSU is also home to the local public access channel, where students can produce the weekly campus TV show and talk on live radio. From us here at KMSU, we hope to see you along the way.
Alrighty, Minot sports fans, there you have it with Jonny Velazquez. Again, he's an offensive lineman for the MSU football team, and a great story overall from him, really forming himself within the Minot community, the local community as always. And you can catch the Beavers on Saturday taking on the Upper Iowa Peacocks, the winless Upper Iowa Peacocks, that is. Saturday, 11 a.m. kickoff. Tailgating comes early before that, and so you will not want to miss an opportunity for the Beavers to finally get one in the win column. So we'll see how that goes, but you can watch Jonathan and the Beavers suit up against the Peacocks this Saturday. As for kind of the start of the podcast, I know I kind of fumbled with should I make it episode 2 of season 3 or MSU Athletes episode 5. I think I'll make them both, if that's all right with you guys. I mean, technically, they're the same thing, so yeah, it's going to kind of look weird if I put them in the same folder as each other, but I think it shouldn't be too bad. But yeah, I think I'm just going to make it as both. I'll name it as season 3 episode 2, but I'll put them as both Season 3, Episode 2, and Episode 5 of the MSU Athlete series. I guess I didn't really put a cap on that series, nor did I really kind of start it. It just kind of came out of the blue, and not much else done during last school year. Obviously, getting 4 episodes in, that was pretty good. So, I mean, yeah, again, guys, if you want to be on the podcast, I will do some reaching out of my own as well. Kind of been busy with school as of late, but I will start to pick up a few more guests, hopefully here pretty soon, and push out some more wonderful Minot Sports content for you guys. But that is going to do it for, we'll officially call this Season 3, Episode 2 of the Minot Sports Podcast. We'd like to thank our sponsors, KMSU TV Radio, for allowing us to use their microphones, use their softwares, getting inside these beautiful production rooms that they have here on the campus of Minot State University inside Hartnett Hall. And we thank Peyton Bartsch Photography for being our photography sponsor for Minot High, Minot Minotaurs, and other high school athletics. Thank you guys for listening. I know it's been a while since the last episode, been pretty busy with school, but I'll make sure to push out some of my own insight on some future episodes here coming up. But again, I want to thank you guys for sticking with it on the Minot Sports Podcast. Again, this has been Season 3 of Episode 2. I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Have a nice day. Stay safe and healthy out there. And as always, take care.